Broadcasting live from the True Crime Today studios to the world. This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Bruschi and Stacey Cole.
From the Hit Killers Podcast, Murder in the Morning.
You remember the Lucy Letby story, which is still ongoing? This has a lot of the same marks of it. And I guess the question is, why is this happening? Or are we just better at catching it now?
There's a good question.
Is what I wonder, too. Where it's always like, oh, the world's burning, all these horrible stories. We communicate in a very different way than we used to. We used to have to, either catch it on TV or read it in a newspaper or hear it on the radio, and that's how we were informed. Now, instantly, we can hear about every horrible thing left and right in real time. So it certainly does create a sense of things being worse than they are, but I don't know that they are, or just that we're informed of them much faster. I don't know what this one. The father of a Virginia toddler injured as a newborn in the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU, has revealed unsettling details about a string of mysterious attacks on infants in Henrico Doctors Hospital in Richmond. Dominique Hackey, whose son Noah suffered a fractured tibia in September of 23, said the victims shared one disturbing commonality. They were all boys.
Oh, God.
They were all different injuries, and two boys had multiple injuries. Hackey said, so far in chatting amongst ourselves, we can't find a pattern why our babies, other than they were just boys. On Christmas Eve, the hospital shut down its NICU after launching an internal investigation into 7 cases of unexplainable fractures among newborns. The incidents, 3 of which occurred in recent months, appear linked to 4 others dating back to 23. Authorities arrested Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman, a 26-year-old registered nurse, on charges of maliciously wounding a child and child abuse in connection with one of the cases. Police are now investigating 6 additional incidents, including the Hackey case, which was initially closed without charges due to insufficient evidence. Rumors that race played a role in the attacks have also circulated online, but Hackey dismissed those claims, stating that only 2 of the victims were black. He has been in contact with 5 other families and is working to meet a final one. So, no, this is not race-related. Hackey's son, Noah, born prematurely at 28 weeks and 6 days, sustained a fractured tibia that investigators later deemed the result of child abuse. The incidents left Hackey devastated. The first emotion that my son ever experienced was pain, and that's not supposed to happen, he said. The first emotion is supposed to be joy and laughter, and that wasn't the case for my son and 6 other boys. Hackey recalls encountering Strotman during his family's NICU stay, describing her as a nice but insignificant individual. He only recently learned that the hospital had placed Strotman on paid leave, suggesting they suspected misconduct long before her arrest. The hospital has since implemented stringent security measures, including 24-hour surveillance. You mean you didn't already have that going on in the NICU?
Thank you for saying that. Why didn't we have that? We have the capability. I have 24-hour surveillance in my kitchen to watch my cats.
I have 24-hour surveillance in the office, my kitchen, the way leading into this office, the stairwell, every door in this house, every stairwell in this house. I have like 15 cameras. And you can't fucking realize, maybe the NICU should have one of those. Maybe a thought. Maybe. I don't think any of the babies are going to go, oh, privacy, please. Come on. Again.
I would think for not just continuity of care to make sure that everybody is doing, if something happens, you can go back and watch a replay, basically, instead of listening to people's recollection of an event. God forbid somebody comes in and tries to steal a baby or something. At least you've got, on camera some sort of evidence. So why doesn't every NICU and every ER have this capability? I got my camera on freaking Amazon for like $29. They can do this.
It's again, I think this goes back to ultimate laxness that a good half of our country has. And I know I'm sounding like an old man now because 25 years ago, we were struck with the World Trade Center disaster. And I'm sorry, those of us who lived through it have a very different sense of what is secure and what is not than those that did not live through
Correct.
that. And they're basically, it's like we thought before 9/11. There's a whole generation of people who think like that. And I don't blame them. They have never experienced it. But it also does not make them very well versed into making decisions like, should we put a camera here or should we not? It's like, when in doubt, put the fucking camera up. It's not thinking a couple lines ahead. It's just immediate thought. And there's a lot of people now that have grown up and are in places of power that just don't have the foresight for shit, unfortunately. And that's my old man speech here at all of age 42.
Yeah, but you know what? Sure, let's call it old man speech. But it's also, you've lived through some really horrific events. I mean, people our age, we've seen some shit. So we've learned. We've seen school shootings. We've seen the towers collapse in New York City and other buildings that came down that day on 9/11. We've seen things. When we walk into movie theaters, at least I do, when I sit down, I look around at the exits and I go,
I've left them before because I was concerned.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of living. For those of us who are in the United States, I know we have listeners elsewhere. Here in the United States, that's what we should be doing as vigilant citizens. We need to be looking around because there's some fucking crazy people here.
Yeah.
And that is the best way that we can survive is, again, if you see something, say something. And that means being vigilant, being aware of your surroundings. That includes institutions, having ways for people to be held accountable when they fuck up. It's one thing to make a mistake. This was not a mistake.
No.
Now you've got evidence if you've got a camera in that NICU.
It says we are both shocked and saddened by this development. And by the way, they have now implemented security measures, including that surveillance, parent live streaming options, and mandatory 2-person protocols for staff entering patient rooms. Says we're both shocked and saddened by this development in the investigation. The hospital said in a statement, we remain focused on caring for our patients and supporting our colleagues during this deeply personal time. For Hackey, the revelations have been life-altering, understandably. The hospital informed him that his son's injury occurred a day earlier than initially reported, at a time when there were no surveillance cameras in place. Person found a way to still hurt our children, Hackey said. That's the part that keeps me up at night. Hackey, who retained a lawyer, hopes to advocate for justice for Noah and other victims. Both Noah and his twin brother Micah, now 16 months old, are thriving. Hackey describes his son as happy and healthy. A welcome reprieve after enduring trauma in the NICU, experiencing 2 miscarriages and then having twins. It's amazing, Hackey said. Not many people have the privilege to be parents, and I was blessed 2 times over. I'm going to do whatever I can to protect them. Yeah.
You know, bringing up Lucy Letby, she was in a NICU. It makes me, granted, there's a ton of NICUs across the entire world, but what is it about something like that might attract somebody who's absolutely psychotic?
Well, here's the deal. This woman's only been charged with 1 of them. So I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon quite yet until we have more evidence knowing what the hell's going on here. And trust me, that hospital's looking for a fucking scapegoat. So I'd like to know more before we throw her under the bus, because we don't have a lot here yet. Was she there? But there's probably a lot of people who were there. What else is going on in this hospital? What sort of other protocols do they have for handling things? Was she just following the way the hospital taught her how to do things? Is there something else going on in this city that bone density and that sort of structure in babies is not coming along the way it should? Check the fucking water system. Look at all the fucking issues you had in cities like in Michigan, where they had problems with stuff. There's a lot of things to look at here before we just jump down the road of this woman is another Lucy Letby. Could she be? Sure. But I don't think we have enough information yet.
I think you're right. And we do need to make sure we don't jump to conclusions. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty.
This is an easy one to jump on because it's angry. It's angering because it's children, Well,
these kids cannot speak for themselves. And it's, obviously they're infants. They're the youngest of living creatures. This is a place that they go when they come out way too early.
Yeah.
And they need to be protected. So, animals and babies. It's like, oh my God, how could anybody harm either of them? I just don't,
Well,
I don't understand.
And I'd like to know why only one thing has been charged here. I mean, I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions on this one. Letby ended up turning out that there was a ton of evidence and shit on her. I don't see a whole lot yet, but maybe just one is coming, or that there's the one that has more. I don't know. I don't know. I'm cautious to jump on this one in terms of villainizing the woman. We need more information. But
that's fair.
But I don't know. I mean, it's certainly a trend. I don't know. It took 6 or 7 of them to finally go. I mean, if your trend is like you have none in a year or maybe one in a year, I think you'd be kind of raising the flag at like 3, and going, what's going on here? When you get up to like 6 or 7, it's like, okay, I think maybe we were not paying attention to this or pretending it wasn't happening, or no one will find out, hopefully. And that's where, this hospital is going to go bankrupt at the end of the day.
There's going to be a huge problem there.
That's what the problem, and they need their scapegoat. I mean, they certainly, they have their insurance, but they need to fucking explain what the hell happened too. So I think you're going to have a lot of issues there legally. And the hospital would not like to be the one at the end of the day that has their name destroyed. They want to go, it's so-and-so, not the Countess of Chester Hospital, which we now know from Lucy Letby.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm seeing now, as of 4 days ago, there were 3 babies that suffered fractures at this hospital, at this unit. So, I mean, that's, again, babies' bones they tend to be a little softer, but they shouldn't be coming out with fractures. I mean, what is happening that their bones are fractured? They're literally lying in a basically a bed that protects them from the world. So what's going on?
Yeah.
How does this happen? I don't know.
And I'm looking at, there's just between the summer of 23 and 24, 7 infants in the NICU were found with unexplained injuries, including broken bones. 4 cases occurred in the summer of 23 and 3 more in late 24 following an internal investigation by the hospital and review of the surveillance footage. Strautman was identified as a suspect, then arrested here in January. So, but they didn't have the surveillance until the very end. So again, I don't know. I have questions. I think a lot of you should have questions on this one before jumping into it. Anybody should. But yeah, I mean, everybody wants to, like, what does she look like? She looks like an average 26-year-old woman. Nothing that would make me, I don't know, not that that means anything, but Lucy Letby also looked pretty normal too. But there are certainly sick people out there that have issues, and they demonstrate them in very bizarre ways. I don't know. We'll find out more about this. We'll watch it and see where it goes.
You're neck deep in a dark, twisted tale. And just as the tension peaks, bam, a commercial about some miracle diet pill breaks the spell. It's like finding a fly in your soup after the first bite. But here's the fix. True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. You get to enjoy your crime stories without the junk. Ad-free episodes, extended interviews that go beyond the surface, and early access to all the gruesome details. It's like swapping out a can of cheap beer for a glass of fine whiskey. So search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and keep the darkness flowing uninterrupted.